So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isa Muhammad Ali. I'm part of Sahar Ventures and I lead the Tanzania AI community, which is a bit of a spin-off from what we're going to be talking about, blockchain. But as we've heard in the morning, for those who are here, these are very interrelated technologies. A lot of them are going to be tied together very much. And some people say blockchain is going to be the bigger impactor. Others say AI. I've been in the AI camp for a long time. But the whole point of this session and today's discussion is going to be how can we make sure that we actually implement this technology? So after listening to today's and previous sessions, we hear that the biggest impact of technology of blockchain is going to be how it ties together data in an immutable and trusted way. And a big issue with a lot of areas is always trust. How can we trust the data? How can we make sure protocols are observed and that kind of thing? So that's going to be a big part of today's discussion. And this is not going to be very formal. I'm not a very formal person. We've heard I don't really wear blazers and stuff. I'm still wearing sneakers right now. So feel free to be very open, discussive. We've put down some big charts on the tables with some sticky notes as well. So clearly this is going to be that type of discussion. And you can already see the direction we're heading just with those charts. At the end of the day, our goal is looking at how do we create a more conducive environment. We understand people are like, okay, blockchain, big thing, AI, big thing, augmented reality, etc., etc. But how do we move beyond the talks? As leaders in industry, as policymakers, as developers ourselves, what do we feel we need to actually make it happen? But I'm going way too far in front. So before that, just to make sure we're all on the same page, I'm going to attempt to give a short presentation on what blockchain is, but I'm not going to dive too deep because I am in a room of experts, very many. TBL is doing a lot of work. Edanian Labs, I almost always say Ada Labs. I'm too used to your old name. Edanian Labs, and there's Crosslink International. These are people who are applying the technology, who are teaching others how to use it, supporting startups that are implementing it. So at any point, feel free to ask anyone here to clarify the concepts, the technology, etc. Like I said, this isn't going to be a very formal discussion. So getting straight into it, who here feels they understand what blockchain is? Just quick raise of hands. It helps me quicken my presentation. If you all say you know what blockchain is, I can skip my presentation. I have one slide. I literally have one slide. So who wants to just volunteer, give me their understanding of blockchain?
Hi, I'm Alexa from the Fungua program at UNDP. Definitely not a techie, but the way I imagine blockchain is like Excel, but everybody has a copy and their copies have to agree. So that's how when I imagine it, that's what I imagine.
That makes a lot of sense. And there's a very nice saying that the best person to explain something technical is someone who is not technical, because they can explain it in a way that other non-techies would understand. So that's always the best way to happen. So can you switch to my laptops, whatever? Advantage of Blazers, I have lots of fun pockets. So this is just meant to be like a very quick start guide. And literally the way I define it is in a very not useful way. I define it with the words in the name. It's a chain of blocks. And these blocks are basically records of particular data. I've been hearing the word ledgers, ledgers, ledgers. I haven't seen a ledger myself. I don't know what century of accounting ledgers are from, but basically a record of data. This type of data can be transaction-based data. And it's just a lot of these, just a lot of them, that we make sure we link together in such a way that at no point do we change the original. We create a duplicate with the updated information. This is at least how I've understood it. If I'm making a mistake, correct me now. Good? Good? Okay. So literally, just a bunch of blocks of data that we then spread out to everyone. Everyone has a copy of this. Each transaction that happens, each change that happens doesn't change the original. There's a copy that's made. The copy has information of the past and the present. And everyone now has a copy of this copy. Therefore, if we want to change anything, or we want to, let's say, do some fancy stuff, make things look like what they are not, we would have to change everyone's. And if we think about this in the sense of a presentation, I give this presentation to 10 of my friends, and I want to change a single detail, I have to make sure I change it for all 10. 10 is really what happens when we scale to 100, 1,000, many millions. A device could, any device could store a copy of these ledgers, of these connections. And that in its essence is how I look at and how I hope I've understood correctly blockchain is. So from here, we're going to move directly into use cases, into actual people who are applying the technology. And one of the first parts of any technological application is having people who understand it at the theoretical level and the technical level. And the best people in the room for that today are going to be the African Blockchain Center.